We'll be starting in about 1 minute. I got you. He just gave you the record. I don't see any change at all in the law. Thank you. Good evening and welcome to Summers County Board of Education regular meeting. It is Thursday, February the 10th, 2022, and the time is 6 p.m. Let the roll call reflect that all members are present in the building, and Mr. Brogan is not with us tonight and will not be joining. He is not feeling well tonight, so we hope that he gets to feeling better soon. At this time, Mr. Angel, would you deliver invocation and pledge of allegiance? Would everyone rise?
Lord, we thank you for the opportunity to come here tonight, Lord, and conduct the business of Summers County Schools. Lord, we thank you for each person that's come out and for their interest in well-being of our children and our school system. Lord, we just pray that you be with us, watch over us as we go through this agenda, give us wisdom, give us the knowledge that we need to make the decisions that are best for our students in Summers County and our staff. Lord, we just pray that you would be with this country, be with our leaders, both on a national level and local level, Lord. There's a lot going on right now, and we need your guidance. We pray for those that are sick, pray for Mr. Brogan that he'll be feeling better. Pray for those recently in our community, Lord, that have lost loved ones, that you would comfort them. We just ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have several people in attendance tonight. I welcomed everybody, but I'd like to add to that, we appreciate all of you being here, and come as often as you can, but thank you for coming. Item 3, approval of agenda and adjustments. I would ask members look over the agenda to see if there's any adjustments you feel should be made.
Under 11D,
11D,
discussion, possible action to approve overnight trips.
yes.
I'll move that we strike the overnight FFA trip that was approved on December 23rd.
Okay. There's a motion on the floor by Mr. Angel. The chair will second that under new business item D, we strike overnight FFA trip as that has already been approved. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. That adjustment to the agenda is now taken care of. Overnight FFA trip is deleted. Any other members? Any other?
On agenda number 11, letter G, I move to strike. It needs to be on the February 24th agenda.
needs to be on the next one.
Yes.
Ms. Farley, okay. Chair will second that. There's a motion by Mrs. Farley that we strike item 11G. Discussion, possible action to approve step increase. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. The agenda has been adjusted to remove item 11G. Well, we're on a roll here. Anybody else? You don't have one yet, Mr. McBride. If you'll strike something, we'll get done soon. You don't see anything? Okay. Mr. Ward, will you stand behind this agenda now?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. All right, then we'll, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented to us by the superintendent.
I'll make a motion, we approve the agenda as presented by the superintendent.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by Mr. Angel, seconded by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the agenda as presented to us by the superintendent, subject to the 2 strikes we have previously approved. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative, this agenda has been approved. Item 4, something that we look forward to, is pause for applause. And we have 4A, student success stories. And I will turn this over to Superintendent Warble.
This is definitely the best part of the meeting. We have 3 areas that we're going to talk about tonight. The first one is student success. ProStart program assisted the cooks with the breakfast and the lunch prep. Is there any of them here tonight, Mr. Kuhn?
She's going to come in person at the next meeting.
Okay.
She had a scheduling conflict at the last minute.
So it's more suspense for the next meeting, drawing it out. Okay. Well, I can say we want to give them thanks because we had our steering committee on Monday and we were at the ProStart with our CTE program. The kids not only made such a good meal, we had people in the hallway, they're like, that smells good. We had barbecue chicken, mashed potatoes, anybody getting hungry yet? Green beans, and then they had a dessert. And the kids, they really did a bang-up job, and we're really proud of them for what they did. So that was great to see their talents. The next one, instructional initiatives. Amanda Wheeler and her parent involvement activity about phonics. You got this now? Okay.
We brought a whole crew.
We
Well,
have
I'm gonna turn it
reserved a podium and a, right here.
If you need to unhook my computer, that's fine.
Either way, can I put this in, or can I log into mine?
Yeah, you can log into yours. And then if it asks me to log into you, I will switch the user because it's been used like that, so you're more than welcome to use it. And while you guys are setting up, are you guys gonna tell us the people that are with you tonight?
Definitely, they're gonna teach you something tonight.
I'm ready.
They are ready to teach.
Miss Richmond, that mic picks up pretty good, so it should work out.
I'll go ahead and start just introducing kind of what Ms. Wheeler and her students are going to do while she's logging in. We have, the past few years, started a new phonics program at Talcott Elementary and some of the grade levels, and this year has been really the first full year that a class has been in person every day with their teacher to use this, and what we are seeing are really huge gains in our reading instruction. I think the majority of her students, and you'll see this on here, have already met their spring benchmark in reading, and it's just really neat to see their growth and to see how they learn. And one of the things that you'll see is some of the things that the students are doing, but then you're also going to see the way that Mrs. Wheeler brought the parents in to teach them the way that she's teaching reading so that they can then reinforce that at home. And we know that if the teacher and the parent are on the same page, then our student achievement goes way up, and that's what we're seeing here. She's got a great classroom of great kids with lots of really involved parents who want to help and be a part of it. And I
I've messed up before, so you're
Good. Okay, this is one of the parents of a student in Mrs. Wheeler's kindergarten class, and she's going to tell a little bit about her experience in reading and what they're working on with the kids when we finish setting up.
Good evening, guys. My name's Amber Atkins, and I'm the proud owner of Peyton. He's a current kindergarten consultant. I want to take this opportunity to tell you about the program, being a parent at home, working with her. The Foundations program itself breaks it down step by step. First, they learn their letters, the sounds that they make, and then we're able to use that to use like the CBC program, the consonant, vowel, consonant, and it's worked wonders, teaching her how to read. And she enjoys just coming home and just teaching us all the wonderful things that she learns at school and bringing out a book and just showing me, hey mom, I can read that word. But going into the classroom, me as a mother and my mom as a grandma, and learning the teaching process, we can reinforce it at home so we know that we're on the same page with the teacher. And her confidence in reading and her confidence in knowing what she's doing on that level, I mean, has skyrocketed. And her scores, like they were talking about, from the middle of the year till now, is like twice as good. So I'm a very proud parent, and I couldn't be more happy to have Miss Wheeler as her teacher, because she is amazing. So you're gonna see that here in just a few minutes.
Right before we left for Christmas break, Kristen had done a training on multisensory, getting us to use more hands-on with our children and teaching them to read using their different senses. And while I was there, I was thinking about a way to get parents involved, because I can tell you my mother, and even, the way that I learned how to read, we didn't use multisensory. That wasn't, common terms when I was in school. So Kristen was thinking, I thought we need to teach our parents how, education has changed and how to sound out words. And with Foundations, we are getting ready to move into Unit 3, which talks about tapping. So instead of students just trying to sound out words, they're also tapping with their fingers, or they tap along their arm to pick out their CBC sounds and to blend their sounds together. And so I had texted Mrs. Rhodes and I said, could I have the parents come in so that I could teach them? Maybe they could even stay for lunch. And she said, yes, we can work it out. And so back in January, right after we came back from break, we had that. And we had quite a few moms, we had a grandma, we had a dad, and they had a lot of fun. It was interesting to them. I was able to answer a lot of questions about how phonics is changing and about the Foundations program that we are using. So it just, that connection between, I have the connection with the children, but other than messaging back and forth with the parents all the time, we lose that connection. So I was able to bring the parents in, and they got to see what their kids were doing. They actually got to see them working and how to, how we do Foundations. So I am going to turn it over to the kids. I didn't want to talk as much. I wanted them to show you how to do it. And all these kids, they have learned their letters and their sounds. At this point in the school year, usually we're not as far along, but with Foundations, that I've just seen so much growth this year. And so they already knew their letters and sounds, but Foundations has the same kind of warm-up every day. And they were getting a little bit bored because they already knew their letters and sounds. So each of them get their turn to be teacher of the day. So that is their favorite part. They need to know who's going to be the teacher, who's the teacher tomorrow, who is the teacher next Thursday. So I got to tell them one day at a time. I'm only going to tell you one day at a time, so you can practice if you want to. But they already have it all down. So I'm going to turn it over to them. And Mr. Mann here is going to read our first line. This is our Foundations sound cards. And I will tell you, a lot of people are like, well, what about that G and that A? That's not the way we write. So, or how are they able to read that? Well, we call these the fancy letters because this is typewriting. If you, into a computer, if someone's typing, and that's what the kids read a lot. They're reading books that sometimes haven't been formatted for children, and that's the A that they're seeing. That's the G that they're seeing. So we call them the fancy letters. So Foundations, mixes that with the well, not the traditional, but, the handwriting, the way we learn handwriting in this, they blend them together so that students constantly see the same letters. So they know when they see that A, that says I, when they see that G, it says G, and, they don't have any hiccups with it. So, I'm gonna let them go with it. All right, Waylon, you're up first, bud. Do you want to talk about Baby Echo, or do you want me to? You want me to? So, I forgot Baby Echo, and I had to go back to the school and get Baby Echo, because I promised them I would bring Baby Echo. But, the Foundations program has Mama Owl, Baby Echo, because Echo is his name, so when we learn Echo, you repeat after the teacher. So, just a cute little play on words. So Waylon is gonna go down the first line. After he says it, he's gonna flip Echo, and you are gonna repeat after him. You are gonna echo him. All right, Waylon, go ahead. A, apple, I. B, bat, book.
D, dog, duck.
D, dog, duck.
E, and F.
E, and F.
F, fun.
F, fun.
D, game, go.
G, gang,
H, hat, hat.
H, hat,
I, it's it.
I, itch, it.
J, jump, jip.
J, jump, J.
J, K, kite.
K, kite.
L, lamp, O.
L, lamb, O.
M, man,
N, man,
N, not,
N,
O, octopus, O.
O, octopus, O.
P, Pam.
P, Pam.
Q, queen, quote.
Q, queen,
R, rat,
R, rat,
S, snake.
S, snakes.
T, top.
T, tops.
U, up,
U, up,
up. V, van, blue.
V, van,
W, wind, whoop.
W, win,
X, flux. Y, yellow, yuck.
Y, yellow, yuck.
Z, zebra, z.
Z, zebra, Z. So Foundations, their main thing is that there's the letter, then you have the keyword, and then the sound. So they all, and I do have students who, they might not know that that is a J, or that that is an L, but they know L, lamp, ul, and they can say it proud. They know be-bat, oh, and they will be, I mean, they sometimes race to do it, but, I just have a few slides. Those, is our vowel extension chart, and that is teaching students to hold out the vowel. And, this week, we are moving on to some CVC and CVCE words to teach that the E, and we've been calling them, what's E called? Yeah, but what's our, if we add E to the end of a word, what does he do? What's his job? Tells the vowel to say its name. What do we call him? Bossy E, right, very good. So these are just some of the posters we have in our classroom, but I wanted to show you that connection between home and school. So I'm not requiring a lot of homework, but this is, working on our Foundations at home. And this is Peyton, and with Foundations, they have a home connection letter that I send home once a week. And when parents came to school, that's what we really worked on, showing those letters. They have tiles, little lettered cards that they work on at home, building their letters. Here's McKinley, she's doing her work. She's even got addition going on her board. But with Foundations, we do order the home kits to go home with them so that they can practice and show their parents at home. They also come with a dry erase board so students can practice their letters. And we just finished up going through all of our uppercase letters. And with the multisensory processing with students, teaching them to write their letters, Foundations has a certain way that they do it with skyline, plain line, grass line, worm line, and they have that memorized like the back of their hand. And just more of that home connection, and they look really proud to be doing their homework, don't they? Things I've heard from parents is they don't think that it's homework. It's not a struggle. It's something that they want to do, and they want to show their parents how good they are at it. So they're proud to do that. And the last thing I just wanted to talk about is we just finished up our PALS reports for the mid-year. And PALS is our screening, phonological awareness learning screening. And this is our sum score. So in the blue, those are our scores from the fall. So we tested in October, and most students, they can be anywhere from a 0 up to the highest I have is probably the 85. And the gold is our mid-year score. So that's what they scored just this week. And if you can see that green dot that goes across horizontally where it says 81, that is the spring benchmark. So where my students, and that's typical, normally where they are at spring, with 81 is the sum score benchmark, most of my kids have hit that benchmark already. So I'm so, and I don't have all the data. I told Kristen, I'm not the best with data and with the numbers, but I can look at a chart and I can tell you that is growth. And you can see some of the students started off almost meeting that benchmark at the beginning of the year. I have 79, 74, 85. That's a really high group. So they were smart coming into me. It wasn't just me. They were already smart, thanks to our parents. And then this chart, again, just shows more that my biggest jump was at 28 to the 83. It was just remarkable. That's a little girl, she came in and she met the fall benchmark there with 28, but she's already hit the spring benchmark. So that was the most growth that we've seen. And I'm just super excited to see where we can go from now. We still have a couple more months to get where I have never been with kids. This is my 4th year teaching kindergarten, so we are going to get somewhere where I've never been with kindergartners. So maybe we could come back in May and they could even read something for you. I have a feeling that they will be ready to do that. So that's all we have for you today to talk about our Foundations program. Thank you.
Do you get to introduce each one?
No, I will. Okay. This is McKinley Tabor. You want to stand up and wave to McKinley? This is McKinley Tabor, Bobby Tabor, Ashley Tabor, her parents. I'm sure you all know all the Tabors from Marie. So you can go sit down. This is Autumn Holt.
Wait a minute. Have her come this way and stand
Stand in front.
so the parents can get a picture with the board members.
Can you stand in
This is the fun part of the board meeting, trust me.
And this is Autumn Holt, Denise, and James Holt are her parents. You want to go over there, stand?
Come on up.
Kate Adkins, that is her mom, was Amber Adkins that spoke just a minute ago. Go ahead, Nick. And this is Waylon Mann, Sarah Griffin, and John Mann is his parents.
Do you only have one boy in the class then?
No, I don't.
I just wondered, you have all these girls and they're so much taller. What are you girls eating? My goodness, they're tall.
Well, I'll tell you, Waylon is the next to youngest in the whole class.
Really?
So those girls got quite a few months on him. So we'll blame it all on his birthday, right, Mom? Right. But he came in rocking and rolling to us this year to talk it. So we're very glad to have that sturdy boy with us.
Well, we're proud of you guys, and Waylon, don't worry, I was your size too when I was that age, and now I'm 6 foot, but I kept eating and eating and eating, so just keep eating and having fun. But we're really proud of you guys. When you see that data up there, that's what I want our teachers to do, to look at the data and see what they can do to make the kids grow, because like she said, all 4 of these kids are smart. We just want to push them and take the lid off and let them keep growing so they can move on and be very successful. So we're really proud of you guys, and you all dressed really nice tonight, and I know you guys are proud to see your parents out there, right? So why don't you wave at them, say thank you. Well, thanks for bringing them. If you want to bring them back in May,
All right,
let's do it.
we'll do it.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate you for sharing with us tonight. Thank you.
On behalf of the board, I would like to commend Superintendent or Principal Rhodes, Mrs. Wheeler, and Mrs. Richmond for taking your time and going a step over and beyond and being here tonight. And I'd like to thank those children because when you look at those pictures and you look at their faces, they're all smiling. And to keep a smile on a child's face and keep them engaged and keep them wanting to learn is truly a gift. And so I commend those teachers working with them and the Principal Rhodes. I also would like to see, and I think I know, but the parents of these children, would you raise your hand so we can see you?
Good job.
Do we have any grandparents of these children? We have parents. You make the difference here. You're why those children are enjoying learning. And the mere fact that you're here tonight speaks volumes about their success in the classroom. And it would be wonderful if we can increase the number of you who would come and be so involved. I'm sure there's others who are involved, but this is such an important key. And I want to thank all of you. So on behalf of the board, we would like to applaud not only the children again, teachers and the principal, we'd like to applaud your parents especially.
And I'll help
Please
the
come
parents.
back.
I'll help the
Please come
parents
back.
if they want to get out of here, it's okay. So
If you want to take those children home, you can go on and do that. Besides, they may want to do their phonics practice.
I gave them the night off.
Okay, but again, thank you so much for coming, and please come back.
As they're leaving to run interference, I know our central office has been invited to come to Talkit, I believe on Monday, February 14th. I believe there's a marriage at 1 o'clock with a Q and a U. So I'm so excited. I've never had a marriage on Valentine's Day at an elementary school, so this will be my first. So 1 o'clock, Q and U, I believe are getting married, right, Ms. Rhodes? So I'm all excited and I'll wear red, okay?
That brings us to item 4C, above and beyond, on pause for applause. So Superintendent Wardle.
I can honestly say, I don't know much about this award, but Mr. Robert Bowling, I got a text that he received an award and was honored for going above and beyond. And I don't want to steal his thunder, so I'm gonna let him explain it. But I believe a parent wrote to the media, and then the media came here to honor him. And when somebody takes a picture and puts it out there, this is one you're glad to see one of your staff members, because other pictures can get a little messy sometimes in social media, but this was pretty cool to see Mr. Bowling. And I know he's a very humble guy, and he hates to be here talking about himself, but I told him he has to. It's not state law, but I want him here to be rewarded for his going above and beyond. So I'll let him talk a little bit more about it, but we wanted to recognize him tonight.
Thank you, guys. Guys, I'll keep it briefer than class, so they'll be happy. So, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so, I was teaching class, maybe, was it your class? Anyway, and there's a knock at the door, and there was, Principal Hutchins was there, and a couple people I didn't recognize. I was like, oh no, what now? Like, what happened? You know, I don't have to do it. And anyway, they said, do you know Carrie Vickers? And I said, you know, of course. Well, anyhow, she was formerly the principal here, and I had a couple of her kids in class. Anyway, she had nominated me for a award from West Virginia Public Broadcasting. So she had written really nice things, I'm sure most of which were lies, about me. And they bought it and decided to name me teacher of the month. And like I told Mr. Warble, you know, I'm not a attention kind of guy, and I don't feel real comfortable talking about that stuff. But I will say, one, I appreciate you guys giving teachers an opportunity to speak. But just say that, you know, there's a lot of people that work in this building that I feel like go above and beyond. You know, I am very busy, don't get me wrong, I have a lot on my plate, but there's lots of people that do that. So, with that being said, I don't have any more, unless one of these guys wants to interject. Don't boo, fellas. Okay? Anyway, so that's my piece, and I guess that's it. All right.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bolton.
Well, let's give them a round of applause.
Item 5, presentations, Superintendent David Worrell, State of School District.
Well, like I emailed you guys, brevity is a virtue. That's from Mark Twain. So I will go as quickly as I can, but make as much sense as I can. And then if you guys have any questions, I'll be glad to take those. The first PowerPoint I want to share with you all, because this came from the state with the superintendent's meeting that we had. And I think you guys need to see this information because this is data about our state. This is a pyramid that has 3 sections of what's going on in the state. The bottom, you can read all this. Everybody in this room doesn't need me to read to them, but the first 2, community contacts and school contacts, are what I would call a little bit depressing, but it's the facts. It's about our country, not just West Virginia. This is a microcosm of the country of 1 state out of 50. So I want you to take this information in, and this is state data. And then the last one is actually pretty positive, student success, because the first 2 sections have a lot of diversity to them. And it's going to show you what schools do and what students do and their resiliency to make sure they're successful. I think you saw a little bit of it tonight, so that was great to see our kids. This is 10 years ago, 10 years then and now. Our state population, we know, has been declining. That is a reflection of our student enrollment. The problem that we're seeing is this one, that out of all slides, there's 2 that really scare me. This is one of them. This doesn't mean students, this means our society and our state. Our drug-related mortality rate is very high. And if you talk to anybody with the volunteer fire department here or local police or the county sheriff's departments, every day they're dealing with this. They see the worst part of our society when they have to rescue someone or take care of them. The schools just are a reflection of that from the society because we're getting the kids of these people that have a problem with drugs. This is the one that scares me the most. A lot of kids that are coming to us already have physiological differences than when the majority of us in this room were in the womb of a mother. 9 months in a womb is very critical to make sure that our kids are doing, well, to be normal, quote, normal, traditional kids. But you can see right here that number is a little startling when you first see that. Economically, it's been about the same. I don't think that number is going to change a whole lot right now. This number is probably closer to 10,000 than it is 6,000. A lot of our kids are shipped out of this state because we don't have enough foster care for our kids. It's not because people don't want to take care of them. If you look at the state of West Virginia, we have an older population. If you're an older person and you want to take care of kids, I don't know about you all, but as you get older, you get tired. And to deal with youngsters, that's why God made a plan for younger people to be parents than older people, because grandparents are supposed to spoil them and have fun, not raise them. We have a lot of grandfamilies, and we have a lot of kids that are being raised by either foster care or grandparents. This number's probably higher too, but we do have homeless students in our school district. Every school district in America has homeless students. And some people are like, well, I don't think they're homeless. Well, the definition in the federal government's different than what you and I might think. And just because I might be sleeping on a couch at a friend's house or someone's watching over me, the definition of a homeless child, and I'm not going to go into detail, but these students that have been identified are definitely homeless, and that number is creeping up. Our numbers haven't changed a lot with students with disabilities, but I will say that number is going to creep up quite a bit because we're now identifying more students with autism, and we're also identifying more kids with ADHD. And if you go back to the slides about kids that are having problems being in a womb that has drug or alcohol, that's just a natural consequence of the behavior. The number of teachers in our state is declining, which means we have a problem. You notice this isn't 10-year data. It's about 5 to 6 years worth of data. That number has doubled. So when people say to me, what are you going to do about the teacher shortage? I have a solution that we're going to try to do tonight and share that with you. We're 1 out of 15 counties trying a new pilot program with Grow Your Own, and I'll get into that in a minute. But that number is going to creep up even more because the baby boom generation is definitely mass exiting. And if you are not a baby boom generation and you're just tired of COVID and you're at retirement age at 55 and you put in 30 years, you can retire. So we're having a mass exodus because COVID has made people tired and we don't have people that want to go in the teaching profession. When I was in school, most of my teachers had 15 plus years to 20 plus years experience. That number is dropping dramatically, and if you look at our school system, we have a lot of new teachers. I would say that number is getting close to half of new people. When I mean new, I mean less than 5 years experience. We have quite a few. So we're trying to deal with that in our county, but that number is going to continue to increase. So if you don't have many years experience of teaching, it kind of goes back with that last slide you just saw. So that number will continue to drop or increase depending on which side you're looking at. This one hurts a lot. Our state budget has cut us down to about 6%. 6% doesn't sound like a lot, but in our county, it's a lot. And if you want to know where that money's going, a lot of that's going to the new charter schools. They're siphoning it out of the public schools and handing it over to charter. That's the only editorial comment I want to give you. Student success, this will be the positive. NAEP is the National Assessment for Education Progress, so all students in the 50 states. I would submit to you this is pretty good data when you start looking at all the data that I had before that comes across real negative. I'm going to just kind of go through this, but this is grade 4 math. Every slide will be math and language arts, and it'll get up to SAT data. This is pretty impressive with our SAT data. That's tough to bump up that many percentage points in America. But see, in America, we do all students. If you let us do the top 5 or 10% like other countries, we would beat them easily. But we give them real data of all students. Our country tests all students. If you want to take the SAT, you take the SAT. And we do provide that now for all students. Language arts really hasn't grown up much, which I don't understand that when we are English-speaking country. I'm still trying to figure that one out. I would think math would be a little bit much more difficult, but the last statement is what we have in our school system. We do have a lot of true leaders, and we also have a lot of tough decisions, but I will say that we have a lot of good people trying to make a difference for our kids, and I think our kids do a pretty good job of responding. I'm not gonna be ignorant to say we don't have some problems in our school system, because we do, and I'm gonna touch on a little bit of that as I go more into detail. Do you guys have any questions about these slides, other than they can be depressing? I guess I won't. We're good? Okay. Okay, this is what I've been working on with our principals in my central office here. I should say our, that sounds bad, mine. But anyway, we want exemplary schools, period. And I told everybody last year when I was hired, there's 4 ORMs, O-R-M-S. You have your norms, then we're gonna have a storm, and we're going through a storm right now, and that's change. And you're gonna see what I mean by change here with our slides. Then we're gonna reform, and then we're gonna perform. Performance takes 6 to 8 years. So I want you to hold me to that, because I think we can do it and make this a high-performing school system. I know I don't look like this guy. I know I'm not, James Bond. But I do have the philosophy, I don't stop when I get tired. I stop when I'm done. And we got a long way to go. So as far as I'm concerned, we're gonna work like special agents, and we're gonna continue to persevere. So you guys have seen this already when I did the beginning of school. These are 10 characteristics or 10 things that require 0 talent. I'm glad we have some students here, because if you're on time, you have a good work ethic, you have a good effort. Now, body language is huge. 90% of what you give off is through your body language. So if you have your arms crossed, you're not paying attention to me, I can tell you're not engaged. That's on you. Energy, I try to bring it every day. Even though I've been a diabetic 33 years, there's some days I'm tired. I'm more like Tigger, but Tiggers get tired. But I still try to strive and have energy in my job, have a good attitude, have passion. Being coachable. You guys can give me ideas and you tell me I need to work on things. You're my boss. I need to be coachable. Doing the extra little thing. Mr. Bowling got an award for going above and beyond. And then the big one is being prepared. A lot of people need to be prepared. It's kind of that old Boy Scout motto, always be prepared. This is what I'm having my team work on, my principals and my central office. I know Miss Rhodes is here tonight. Did I not give you guys this a while back? Do you remember it? I hope you do. Okay, good. But I need everybody to have all that on the left-hand side. The problem is when you look at a hierarchy of need, we are honestly probably around 4 and 3 as a county. We do have people that are 2s and 5s in this county. I don't think anybody's at a 1, including myself. That's like self-actualization. That means you're at the pinnacle. This means you're doing the work every day, and it's almost like you don't have to even think about it. It's like breathing. I would say most of our people are at 4, 3, and a 2. We don't have many at a 5, but I do not want my staff to be in survival mode or security mode. And I will forward this to you if you guys would like a copy of this. But we need everybody to be highly engaged or feel like they belong in a tribe or a system. So this is our tribe or our system. Miss Duffield, you're back here, right? You have like a tribe, don't you? FFA?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Yeah. You got a few with you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's what you value, and what we need to value is our students and their education, and we don't compromise those ideals. If you read this, you will see that it really makes me come out of my skin when we only focus on those kids who have the talent or have the means. But we do have some students that are homeless and need our help, and we should do it for all, not just for a few kids. Which goes to these 2 points. We have a lot of resources, guys, and now we should be able to employ those and use those. But we have to have effective interventions to make this happen, and our principals are working on that. You saw interventions tonight. She calls it teaching, Miss Wheeler did, but actually there's a lot of interventions going on there. And she tricked parents and kids to do homework. That's all work is, honestly. I trick myself to come to work every day and to work hard. You gotta make it fun or you're gonna be miserable in life. Even when you shovel snow, make it a game. I don't know, you gotta find the fun in your job. This is what I'm asking my principals to do, because I will say, Miss Rhodes, have I not had fierce conversations with all my principals? Do I favor anybody? Do I favor excellence? Yes. And we have to tell people we cannot ignore it. If I ignore it, that means I permit it. And what you permit, you condone, and when you condone it, you have problems and they just don't go away. I want to throw this out there because I want you to kind of laugh, but I also find it serious. If people want to destroy an organization, these are the killer charts. Chief Idea Killer, VP of No, VP of Status Quo, VP of Stay the Course. You guys can read the rest, but we must be willing to change and get better. And if we're doing great things, then why don't we share it with others? I mean, that's the whole goal, isn't it? And we tell our kids to be lifelong learners, but as adults, we don't always model that behavior. Here's what we're trying to do. Now you might ask yourself, what does it mean to move in the right direction? And working with our principals, moving in the right direction, and our staff is, we're going to focus on our standards, we're going to focus on the assessments, and we're going to have DOK levels that make it more engaging and more worthwhile to make our kids critical thinkers and problem solvers. And I'm not going to have people waste my energy if you're going to refuse not to be a team player. So if you see me get quiet or you don't see me working with you, it's because you're killing me, and I don't need to deal with that. I'm only on this earth so long, and my mom told me if you can't say anything nice, don't say it at all. So if you don't hear from me, it's like a coach. If you don't hear them yell at you, that means your coach is frustrated with you. Has anybody heard that before? And if you haven't, then you've never been yelled at then, I guess. Student achievement, here's what we're trying to do. DOKs, STEM, PBL activities. PBLs are the problem-based or project-based is what we're trying to do for learning activities. We need to develop our lesson plans and make sure they're on target with what we're supposed to be teaching. Our time on task, I'm seeing more people focused on that, and I'm seeing more communication with our school system. Miss Richmond is communicating with all 3 elementaries. If it's good at Talkit, it's going to need to be good at all the elementaries. And next year, we're looking at getting a Miss Richmond at the secondary level and using title money to pay for that position because, well, she's done such a good job, we'd like to clone her. Unless you got a twin, I don't know. But this is not me because it's bald-headed. I just want to make this a point. Since we have students here, they get a lot of drama in the high school. I'm going to tell them the best way to survive because drama doesn't go away even when you get out of school. It follows you if you're that type of person. And I've asked my staff to stay out of the turbulence. People are going to be naysayers, they're going to be negative, and they'll say, we can't do it. But I'm not a victim, and I hate victim mentality. This is what I want our people to do, results-oriented. I want them to implement their plans, but they got to monitor it. Did we not see that with a teacher tonight? Is she not monitoring her plan? Will she adjust her plan? I would think she would. I know she creates excitement. I know she has enthusiasm, and I know she has a sense of urgency because anybody who teaches kindergarten, first of all, is a special place in heaven. That's according to me. But she only has them for a little bit of time, and she knows I want to get them to read, hopefully, and I want them to understand, and I want to get them to move to the next level. But we can't do that without students first, the parents, staff, and then the principals, because that's the order I believe is the most important. Students are our #1 resource. Our parents got to work with their kids. Staff works with them every day, and our principals work with all. And I want to give you this much information right now. Who has the most influence on a student? If a student goes to school 13 years, pre-K to 12th grade, and I want our students to hear this data, and you went to school 100%, you didn't miss one day of school, the amount of effectiveness a school system has on a kid is 8%. 8% is all we get if they came to school 100% for those 13 years. Good job, Miss Farley. I like you writing that down. I feel like I'm teaching one person. Thank you for writing that. But on a serious note, that tells you a whole lot about why we have to take care of our kids with wraparound services if we have kids that are homeless. We have kids that are in foster care, or we have kids that don't have parents. The school is huge for these kids. Our effectiveness on them, while we have them, is 8 to 10% at best. So we better do the best we possibly can with that 8 to 10%. So when they go home to mom and dad, they're gonna influence them the most. I mean, that's just how it works. And if you always forget who you work for, I like pulling this up once in a while to say, okay, I don't work for the Board of Education. These are my customers. We need to work for them, and we can't forget that. And I'm pretty proud to be in a county where we're moving. We got a long way to go, but I like the challenge. Do you guys have any questions for me before I go into 2 more things on that?
We're good.
Okay. I mentioned earlier, and it's in your packets, mine is color because it cost us extra to print color copies. So you guys got black and white. But you should have in your packet information from Marshall University, but Jay has it. It's a horizontal landscape, if you will, of grow your own. We were mentioned yesterday in the State Board of Education. We're one of 15 counties that's going to do grow your own. What does that mean? We already have plenty of CTE classes. So our CTE classes that deal with, it used to be called early childhood for education. Now it's careers in education. So careers in education mean if I want to become a teacher, I could go into careers for education, get 1 year of college under my belt before I go off to college, which would be Marshall or Concord, or those credits will go to others because this grow your own, you gotta remember there's 15 counties spread out. So you could go to another college, I'm sure they'll take those credits. But what we can do with the money that we'll be receiving, hopefully, we won't know until the end of, middle of next month, right? 16th or 18th of March. We'll be going to professional development on what does this grow your own look like. But right now we're in the infancy stage, but you can see all that paperwork on it, and I'm sure you can ask me questions later, but I'll be able to give you more reports in the future. But what I'd like to do is recruit young talent out of our own school system and get them to come back here and get them a job. We have good talent, it's just they leave us, and I'd like to keep them around if we possibly could. So this is one way we're trying to pick good people while they're here with us and start recruiting them. So if I'm a parent, I would be excited to hear my kid gets a year of college knocked out while they're in high school. And then the money that we will be getting can also be used to take their praxis test. And for those in the audience that don't know what that is, that's the teacher exam. If you're a elementary educator, you take about $1,000 worth of tests to pass. And that's if you pass the first time. It's going to be more than that if you don't. I see Miss Richmond and Miss Wheeler nodding their head. Am I close on that? Yeah. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying secondary doesn't spend money as much, but elementary, it's a little more dialed in on specific tests. Special ed tests, same thing. They're not easy to pass. But basically, I just want to let you know about Grow Your Own. And the biggest thing about it is you can see here, it tries to chart out what we're doing. Our CTE teacher, just like everybody else's CTE teachers, might not be what you call highly qualified to teach college level, but Concord and Marshall will provide an educator at the university, and they'll probably do this, but we don't know yet till we see all the details from the State Department. But what they'll do is probably zoom into that class during that scheduled time, and then our teacher, Miss Rose for CTE, will be the facilitator and help with everything else. So she'll put people in classrooms. Like if I want to teach elementary, I'll go to the 3 elementaries to learn about elementary. If I want secondary, well, you just stay in this building and visit classes. So we'll provide field trips for those kids to go to different places too as well. But this is a great program to try to help out with our CTE program. We already had one, why not use it? And I wanted us to be a willing hostage and jump in there to be one of 15 counties to make this happen. Does anybody have any questions about that? If not, I have one more thing. I have Miss Tara Skaggs to come up. Tara will answer any questions you all have about Raynell Medical Center. What you have in your packet is a triple wide trailer that will not look like a trailer system when it's all done. It's pretty amazing. It's 30-something by 60-something. And if I was a math teacher, I'd get you right down to the foot, but we'll just say 30-something by 60-something. And the back door here, where people walk out, there's a sidewalk there. We're gonna put it on the back side there where the the two dumpster areas are, and that satellite, we're gonna get rid of that. I might auction it off for a roof for someone to make. Maybe FFA can create something, I don't know, but that'd be great if they could. But on a serious note, the kids could walk out and go right to the medical center, or staff could walk right out there easily. And then the medical center can see the kids coming and going, and same way with us. And what's nice about it is, I'm glad Susie's here, you have the community and schools offices back there, so they can help assist with that if they need to walk anybody back there. If a student has an issue and they want some counseling, we'll have that there as well. Raynell Medical is not a competitor. They're here to refer students to doctors or the hospital or to the dentist. That's their job, is to refer. We're looking at the kids I was talking about earlier that don't have the access like we do in this room. We're talking about kids that do not have the availability to go see a physician. And then the other thing they're going to do is provide free physicals, I believe. Is that correct? Tell me if I'm stepping out of bounds here. And then if they need any other guidance with anything, they'll take care of that. They can write prescriptions and do all that. I stay out of it. It's HIPAA. They deal with the doctor or whoever takes care of them. I don't mess with that. I don't need to know. It's like just a better way to keep people on campus here. And then anybody in the county may go there. I know I talked to a couple of parents that asked me, so I wouldn't have to go all the way to Beckley. I could go there, or my wife or my kids. I'm like, yeah, you can do that. But do you guys have any specific questions you want to ask about Raynell Medical? Because I asked Tara to come to give you guys any updates on that, because I'd rather you pepper her with the tough questions, and I'll just sit back and watch. Do you guys have anything?
First of all,
Come on up here, Tara, if you want to talk. Go ahead, Stan, or Mr. Duncan.
first of all, we appreciate you coming. And also, I think this board appreciates what this opportunity for us can mean to our students. We get questions and people are talking, and I'm not going to get into a lot, not going to get into those details, but I had someone speak to me today about this. Mental health, dental health, eye health, and just health in general. One would think that's not the responsibility of schools, and in one particular time, it was not so much responsibility. And for those listening in the community and for those here tonight, we have a tremendous number of students in our school system, for whatever reason, don't get taken to a dentist, to an optometrist, for general physicals, and illnesses that occur throughout the school year. Far too many don't get taken, they don't get to be seen. And I would like for everyone in this room, and I'd like for everyone in the community that's listening, and please spread the word. Our goal with this partnership with Raynell Medical is to help those kids in our system who, for whatever reason, don't get these screenings. And there's far too many of them. Would you agree with that, Mr. Worrell?
Sure, the data's right there.
The data's there. And one of the things we do in education is we look at data. And the data creates a clear need. So when we screen these kids and we give them the immediate attention they need, they're still going to need additional care. And that additional care will be it'll be referred out to other medical facilities and doctors in the area. But this is an opportunity for us to improve the situation of children by screenings and immediate care because they need it, and most importantly, because far too many of them are not getting it. That's all I have to say. Would you care to add something to that? Do you think I expressed it okay? And if I didn't, please educate me.
Oh, educated.
Go ahead. Yeah, the superintendent wants you to educate me. Go ahead, I'm listening.
First, I would just like to thank you for having me here, and I'm going to try to keep it short because it's my passion. I can talk a lot about students in school and their overall health. I think that you touched a lot of great points, and what I would like to say about what we do is the reason why I work for Raynell Medical Center, I worked for an FQHC, a federally qualified health center, for a lot of years, and I'm very compassionate about students and about the community and about doing the right things and not doing things for money. I know that money is what we need to operate in any business. However, we also have to do the right thing, and we have to have passion about what we do. And Raynell Medical Center does it right. They always put the patient first, the student first, and the community, rather than how much money we have in the bank. We'll write the grants, we'll figure it out. And we invest a lot in our employees and our staff and our providers, so they're very well educated and very well versed and provide excellent care and go the extra mile of having an EKG. So your school-based health center will have an EKG, which is, I'm going to take this back to one of our other health centers, which is in Fayette County. A teacher just last week was having chest pain, and they brought her over to the school-based health center, and she was actually having a stroke. So we were able to treat her and stabilize her until the EMTs arrived and took her to the hospital. So there's so many facets that we can treat and accommodate, but it's important that the community knows, that all of you know, that we're here to collaborate. We don't want to compete with anyone. So we want the students, the teachers, whoever needs care that doesn't have access to care, we want to break that barrier and provide that access. So, you know, our whole body, we're all connected. So whether they're going through trauma at home, something that we're not even aware of, is going to come to school and affect them. They might not be able to focus or to think, and no one knows what's really going on. But when you see the school-based health center go in, what you'll see is that a lot of the kids that suffer from trauma will sign up regularly to go, and so we're able to catch that. Even kids that really don't stand out to you, that you think that needs this help, they need this service. So frequent flyers are a thing that there's something going on. So we're able to refer those kids to behavioral health. So in addition to just overall health, like my head hurts, they can't, if they're in pain, if they're sick, they can't focus, they can't learn. There's that break. So there's a lot of benefits into beyond just breaking that transportation barrier or not having someone there that cares to get them to where they need to be seen. It can just be, I mean, you can have a student here that is suffering from, you know, chronic stomach issues, and every day has a stomach ache, and the parent can't miss work to take them to the doctor every day for a stomach ache. So just digging into that and figuring out what's going on, or whether it's actually something going on at home, or do they have a stomach issue? We're here for all of those, illness and injury. But the students that don't have a primary care doctor, we can do your physicals and their immunizations for them. If a student or an adult has a primary care provider, we will not do those like a well child or a annual visit on an adult when you have a provider. But you know, rather than a teacher having to miss work because I don't know, they woke up and, like ears bothering them, or they're nauseous, or just whatever reason, if you need to go over and be seen and determine, are you contagious? Are you able to return to school, return to class? It's just a win-win for everybody involved, and definitely the community, the students. I think that you're gonna see an increase in attendance and grades and all involved. I would like to also say, this is the last thing that I'll say, if ever you have negative comments coming or in the school or in the community, I would be more than happy to be present and just to discuss, like, just to give everybody reassurance, because I know that this can seem intimidating and scary to others in the community in a way. There's those that are gonna be super excited and those that feel like they have more at stake or more to lose, and that's not the intention here at all. We're here to help, and we're here to make a difference and to help you all keep your students in the classroom. If they come to the school-based health center, they're not counted absence. They're not gonna have the absence against them. They're generally out of the classroom 30 minutes versus a couple of hours if they would have to leave and go elsewhere. So I'm gonna stop because I can just keep talking about it, but if you have any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer those for you.
I'm not finished. I would like, if there's anyone sitting out there who'd like to ask a question, please feel free to do so. Or make a comment.
Nobody from the FFA sector?
Okay, I have a question. Would you share with us the number of counties and schools in which Raynell Medical Center is providing this type of clinical service on site to help children and staff determine if they need to be home or if they need to go to the hospital? Or could you tell us a little more about that?
Let me do something. Would it be better not to specifically call out right now, but how many counties already have this in their county, and how many?
Well, I've been working in McDowell County the last 2 weeks, and I can tell you, and I'm sure it's not Raynell Medical, but McDowell County has this type of service going into many of their schools in McDowell County.
We're one of very few counties that do not have a medical center, so it's probably better to say it that way, because
Okay.
I don't want to support Raynell versus someone. Don't take offense to that, but
Absolutely.
I don't have a dog.
Raynell's the one we're dealing with here tonight,
Right,
but I stand educated on that. I appreciate that, because
Well, I just want to help out because, like, I'll give you an example. Fayette County has two. One across the river is Raynell Medical at Midland Trail and Meadow Bridge, and then on the other side is New River Health. So each county has different health centers. I believe we have one sitting in our county right now, don't we? Servicing Monroe. So we already have one, but it doesn't service us. It's because it's over on their side and they serve them. So we're one of the few that do not have a medical center. So that might be a different way of looking at it, Mr. Duncan, not to, I know you and I always spar.
Superintendent Warville, that was an excellent point you made, and I welcome that. I can handle that.
Sorry, get that right.
Go ahead. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us then?
So I would just like to say the state of West Virginia in general is leading in the nation, other than Minnesota and New York, with school health. That is something that we're doing right. We recognize the need that students need this service. And, you know, we're third in the nation offering this service. Most of our counties, most of our schools have either part-time or full-time care. So this is definitely, it's nothing new. School-based health has been around in our state for over 40 years. So, yeah, it's...
Can our CTE class work with you all?
that is something I'll have, yeah.
That was one question I've had.
That would be a great partnership
Well,
if you could pull that
that's what
off.
I'm looking at is we have our CTE class. Why not work
Yeah.
with them? And I know there's HIPAA and all that stuff, but I want our kids to be able to have that, because I do believe, I'm trying to cherry pick one. You know where I'm going, don't you? You have a Summers County gal at Midland Trail, and I'm trying to get her to come here. I told her it's much closer, and she doesn't like that, but I'm trying to recruit good people.
She's a good nurse. course.
I know she is, that's why I'm trying to figure.
And we both met her, and we'd love to have her over here at your facility.
Yes. Your medical provider, we do have a staff already. I don't know if any of you know Stephanie Hamilton. She has 20 years experience. She is lovely. She was actually gonna come tonight just so you could meet her, but, her daughter was ill, so she wasn't able to attend. So,
If there's not any other questions, yes.
And how do you approach, the situation with parents? If, say, Johnny comes over and you suspect he might have strep and you need to do a strep test, do you contact the parents or do you have paperwork on file? How does that work?
So, we already sent consents out, knowing that we were coming. We had a good return. We don't see a child without a consent, and on that school-based health consent, the parent selects the level of care. They write if they have a primary care provider, they write if they have a dentist, they put on there when they last had a dental visit and their well child exam, and then from there they select what can you provide? This is what you're allowed to do for my child. And so based on that service, like if we're allowed to do tests, if they select test, then we can offer a strep test. If they have a school-based health consent and they have that marked out that we cannot do any kind of testing, then we'll still call that parent and say we do call. We send letters home. A lot of times in school-based health, we can't reach the parent and we have to contact them by letter. It's unfortunate but true. So we do send a letter home, but while the child is in the office, we try to contact the parent. So we'll have on-site strep test, flu test, COVID test, antigen and rapid PCR test. Those have served a great purpose to keep the kids in school in the counties that we currently serve. It's been a pretty great tool. And we also have a rapid A1C test. We absolutely can do all the testing, a full lab, so, yeah.
I was just curious how that worked with the parents, because you know there are gonna be some parents that, you know, like you said, you aren't gonna be able to get in touch with them, and if you didn't have something on file.
If we don't have a consent, that's as if you went into a doctor's office and you didn't fill out any paperwork. We are a doctor's office, and if you don't have paperwork, we can't take care of you, so.
Thank you very much for coming, and when will you be operational?
We are hoping to be operational by the middle of March.
Thank you very much.
The building is supposed to be set next week, and that will take them a few days, and then after that, it's gonna take us a little bit of time to get everything set up and situated inside, power, electric, furniture, all that good stuff, so.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
Still a question.
Oh, well,
I was just giving everyone else an opportunity. How will the medical center be staffed? What level of practitioners will be there, and what number of practitioners will you all have on a given day?
Okay, that's a really good question. To begin with, we staff based on the need of the area. And not knowing, we do feel that there's gonna be a need, but not knowing what that is yet. We are starting out with a physician assistant, a nurse, and someone that works the front desk, and a behavioral health therapist. So that will be the beginning staff, and then we'll grow from there, based on need.
And what will your hours be? Starting off?
Monday through Thursday from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
And I can tell you that even at other locations that we have, that we're there in the evening, there has been sports injuries where they need to be stitched real quick. So it's just worked out that we're there, and you know, we've been able to provide sutures and such, check for concussions, and every year we'll provide free sports physicals to every child. So, and also something I should have said is even for teachers, we participate with PEIA, where it's called the CCP program, where if you work for the school system, you do not pay a copay It's free for you to see us. So if you need a quick sick visit, if you want some help with weight management, if you just want your weight or your blood sugar checked real quick, we can take care of you, and all those appointments are free.
Thank you.
So, you're welcome.
Anyone else have any questions before I put my foot in my mouth?
Real quick, I know Ms. Skaggs will be here. I think you're gonna be here Monday because we have, two gentlemen that'll be here with Mr. Metter, myself, and Ms. Skaggs. We are looking at the ground, the facilities, and we gotta answer all those questions before we can start moving dirt. But, we're in the infancy stage. We gotta do it right.
Again, we'll just finish this up and say, this is about helping students, particularly those students who are not getting the help. And that's what this is about. And so we're happy this program is going forward. Any public comment? Item 7, approval of minutes from January 27, 2022, regular meeting minutes. Chair would entertain a motion. Motion on the floor by Mrs. Farley that this board approve the minutes for January 27, 2022. Is there a second by Mr. McBride? Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in affirmative, the minutes for January 27, 2022 have been approved. That brings us to item 8, approval of bills. You have a list of bills before you. I don't think there's anybody here that has any conflicts. I've looked through it. There's no Bowles and Rice, no James and Law for me. Mr. Brogan's not here. So the chair moves that this board approve the paying of the bills for the CSPO and superintendent as presented to us.
I'll second.
Motion on the floor by the chair, second by Mr. Angel. This board approve the bills as presented to us by the CSPO. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. All bills have been approved. 9, approve transfers and supplements.
These are pretty standard.
Yes, so the top portion of it is your transfers, and that's just from one budget item to another. And then the bottom part is, supplements that we had to add to our budget. So we had transfers of $339,000 and, supplements of $153,000 to our original budget.
Transfer from one fund to another. And supplements came from where?
Well, we had Medicaid, community and schools, early literacy, summer feeding, and then the last 2, were child nutrition and first grade nutrition.
Okay. Anything else? You need the board to approve this? Do any members have any questions? If so, speak now.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfers and supplements.
Motion on the floor, Mr. Angel, second by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the transfers and supplements as presented to us by the CSBO tonight. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. The board has approved the transfers, supplements. This brings us to item 10 under old business. This is discussion, possible action regarding superintendent's evaluation. We are required by law to do this, and we also have to have discussion on it, further discussion, and then we have some forms we have to sign, and we also have to grade this. So, The chair moves that this board go into executive session subject to 6-9A-4, subparagraph B2A under personnel. That's a motion. Seconded by Mr. McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. This board is going to go into a short executive session for item 10, old business.
Make sure they bring their rubric or packet.
Yeah, bring your rubric, guys. The time is 7:18. We'll have a short recess for the is 7:50. The chair calls this meeting back to order coming out of executive session. The subject having been the superintendent's evaluation, which is statutorily required of this board to perform. I want to go back and make a quick comment before we move on regarding Superintendent Warvel's state of the school district. It was very clear there, just very easily you could see the vision he has. He articulated that, he showed it to us, and then we saw an example of it with the two teachers and the principal from Talkit, and you can see the implementation of the vision, and so Superintendent Warvel, we want to thank you for that. New business, we have purchases over 20? None? We have discussion and possible action to approve the following policies. We have Roman numeral 7C-11, homeless students. Roman numeral 7-C-12, foster care students. Those two have been out on review. They were completed by Bowles Rice. The chair moves that this board approve under item 11B new policies, Roman numeral 7-C-11, homeless students, and Roman numeral 7-C-12, foster care students. I have a motion on the floor. Motion seconded by Mr. McBride. Any discussion? Go ahead.
Were there any comments on this? I didn't see any in the back. Okay.
Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those two policies previously read have been approved by 4 votes in the affirmative, Superintendent Warvel. Now, if I call your attention to item C under new business, it says discussion possible action to repeal the following policies. I'm assuming this comes from outdated policies that our attorneys advise us we need to get rid of. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. In doing what we've been doing for the last year, you can see the policies before you. They have been published. I don't think, since we're discarding them, and I don't think it's necessary to go through each one unless somebody wants me to. The chair would move that this board, under new business 11C, approve the repeal of the policies listed on the agenda. That's a motion. Motion is seconded by Mrs. Farley. Is there any discussion?
Refresh my memory, are these were scheduled to be repealed due to, they were old policies, some of them were possibly duplicates of state policy.
And outdated.
These are all ones Trey has recommended for removal.
That's correct.
Yes, all of the above.
And this is a result of the fact that our policy manual had not been reworked in decades, and that was one of the advisements of the State Department, or really a requirement. And that's why we have been going through it. So, any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Minutes should reflect 4 votes in the affirmative. 11C policies have all been repealed. 11D, discussion possible action to approve overnight trips. Under 11D, we have 2 bullets. Honors Band will travel to Huntington, West Virginia to represent Summers County Comprehensive High School with band director Timothy Sims. The second being a youth and government trip to Charleston. One item was previously struck. Do any members have any points or any questions they'd like to ask a superintendent regarding these 2 trips? If not, the chair moves that this board approve these two trips as presented to us by the superintendent of schools on the agenda. Seconded by Mr. McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. Both of those trips have been approved. This brings us to item 11E, under new business, discussion, possible action to review the following policies. And this is item Roman numeral 4 dash, is that J?
Yes.
J-0, personal leave policy. Superintendent Warble, I'd like to ask you to bring us up to date on this, and just make some comments on this. We'll see where we need to go with this.
Okay, this policy was put out in June. We didn't really have comments at that point in time. Having said that, after a few months that have passed by, I was asked formally in an email by Mr. Hartwell that the Senate voted to look, they're making a request for you all to look at this policy again, because what happened was we changed the carryover of number of days. Basically, in layman's terms, those are the without cause days. That's different than sick days. Now, if you don't use those days, they ultimately will go into your sick bank unless the board has a policy where you could carry over those days, which the board previously did. You could carry up to 8. Is that correct, Ms. Crook? Okay, so what you all did when you worked with Mr. Trey Marone, it was advised to look at just using those 4 days, and then if you don't use those 4 days, then they automatically go into the sick bank, and then the following year, you would have to get another 4 days, instead of banking them up to 8 days. Right now, what we did was, I think you guys decided that since a couple of our service personnel, cooks at Talcott said, is it possible to bring back the $500 bonus? I think that was like a trade-off to say, well, if you use 4 days or less, we don't care, 4 days, whether they're sick days or personal days, the board will issue a bonus of $500. That was for the service, and then the professionals would get $500. But the difference in this state is the state code already has a $500 bonus for the professionals, so they would actually get $1,000. That's just how it is with code. So when you guys were looking at that policy, you were trying to find kind of the sweet spot, if you will, and work that out. So that's real quick, the nuts and bolts of what was discussed this past school year in June.
Okay. I will open the floor to other 3 members present. Do you have any comments or points you'd like to make, or any questions you'd like to ask of the superintendent or the CSBO at this time?
When this was asked to be put back on the agenda to be reviewed again, what was the request from the staff? What would they like to see in or removed from this policy?
Well, I know talking to a couple of them, they would like to have those 8 days. They would, up to 8 days. They would like to be able to carry over up to 8 days like it used to read.
So rather than at the end of each school year, 4 days, which they are given each year, be converted to sick leave, they would be allowed to carry 4 over to have a total of 8 the second year.
That's correct.
So what would happen then is those days are a little bit different than sick days. This is where it gets a little convoluted. Those are called without cause. So if I want to just take days off, I could say I want to take those days off, and you don't have to have a reason. If you are sick and you take from the sick bank and you miss more than 2 in a row, then that's when you ask for a doctor's excuse, because people, a lot of people play sick on Monday because you have a Super Bowl. I'm just saying those are certain situations. Or you can take it without cause. The other issue you get into is, let's say you have 8 days. You might also take those when there's a holiday. So recently we had Martin Luther King Day. You could tack on 4, and then you got 2 weekends, and then 4 days plus the holiday. They only burn 4, so then they got another 4 that they can use without cost.
What happens at the end of year 2? Sorry, Jay. What happens at the end of year 2 if they have 8?
They can only max 8, and those other days turn into now sick days.
So they would either use those 8 in year 2, or or any additional days would turn into sick days.
Yes, if you went with the old policy, it would stay at 8 if you didn't use them, because the most you could carry is 8. Anything over that then becomes a sick bank.
So they would constantly be rolling. So if you, like, at the end of year 2, if you got those 8 days, 4 of them are gonna go into sick days,
And then
4 will go
4 more
into
would
the
add.
L, and then you get new 4 new days.
Okay.
Well, those days are just what used to be personal leave.
Yes.
They are personal, yeah, this is personal leave.
And you have to have approval from the supervisor before you can do that.
And I
Still,
think the policy reads 24 hours prior approval,
right,
and no more than 15% of the buildings.
yeah,
And that matches the state code as well.
right. So, I don't have a problem with that, because it's still, leaves it up to the supervisor. If you have people covered, you can approve it or not.
That's up to you all. My job is I work with everybody, and I know you guys do too, but they formally said that they voted at faculty senate, and then the request was what you are seeing tonight in motion. So the question is either I'm just giving you all your options. You leave it be and do nothing. You could do like what you're saying. You can make a motion to change said policy, because the boards do 2 things: hire and fire a superintendent, policies. That's your 2 goals. That's it. So this is policy, so you can adjust it if you would like to.
Or we could also make a motion to put it on review, get comments from the staff, and then at another meeting decide if we want to.
That's automatic though. You would automatically say, if Mr. McBride says, I would like to go back to the 8 days, I don't want to put words in your mouth, I'm just using an example. You still have to put it out for people to review, to make comments on.
I think the contention here was, although we didn't have any comments when we passed this, did we?
No.
I think the contention is that, yeah, I guess it flew over the head, because I guess this happened in the summertime. And the contentious point is they would like to have an opportunity to express reasons and points. Mrs. Farley, do you have any comments?
What would happen if they use 4 or less and receive the $500 bonus if the original policy was reinstated? Does that just go to that, that's not part of that?
It's a separate policy.
It wouldn't affect it, because as long as you use 4 or less, I don't care what 4 you use. Because we were trying to entice people not to miss much, because, well, the pandemic has put us in a position. Plus you saw the data up there, how many vacancies we have. It wouldn't fight that policy. You know, some legislative laws or policies can kind of fight each other. I don't see how it would fight, but what we would do is we would give that to the attorney, because we've already paid for that service. It's not extra. He would just say, this would be fine. Or he would say, well, you might have to tweak the other policy, but I don't see how it would really affect it in the spirit of the law, is what I'm saying, or policy. Do you see it? I can't see it really. Yeah, that's what I thought. Good question.
It hasn't been that long since I retired from the system. And my recollection is that just a few years ago, you could carry over days, and you could either get up to 5 or 6 that you could have at any given time. 6, you could have up to 6. You do have to go to your supervisor ahead of time and say, I'd like to be gone for 6 days, or I'd like to be gone 3 days or 2, and they have the right then to look at it and see if they have enough people to cover, and if they can do it, and they'll sign it and approve it. So if there's no other comments, it would seem prudent to me since we're bringing this up, unless somebody wants to put form of a motion, I would move that this board ask the superintendent to put policy Roman numeral 4-J-O, personal leave policy, back out on review, and then share with us the comments you have and the reasoning, and be prepared, CSBO and the superintendent, which I think you already are, but be prepared to answer the board's questions, and we could do that, I would think, at the next regular meeting. Could we? Or do you need to have, it only has to be on review for how long, is it?
It's determined by the board how long.
Yeah, I think so, and technically, a lot of these policies don't have to be put on review. We've established a precedent, we're doing that. So I would move that this board ask the superintendent to place Roman numeral 4-J-0, personal leave policy out on review, and that it be placed on the agenda for the next regular board meeting for the board to have discussion and possible action to review the policy.
I'll second.
Motion is seconded by Mr. Angel. Any discussion?
I just have one clarification.
Sure.
This is just me playing an attorney here. What date and time do you want it to be taken down for people? Because you said for the next board meeting.
That's the 24th, is it?
Right, so do you want that to be out until the 23rd by 4 p.m.? I just need to know, because I don't want to get in a situation where you're asking me to be judge, jury, and executioner. You gotta direct me on a date and time so we make it fair for all.
Point of order then, we have a motion on the floor that was made and seconded, so the chair moves to amend the original motion to stipulate that the policy be taken down off review on February 23rd, end of workday 23rd.
Okay.
That's a motion. Is there a second on this amendment?
I'll second.
The amendment is seconded by Mr. Angel. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye to the amendment. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. The original motion, which I now will restate, has been amended. So this board, the chair moves that Roman numeral 4-J-0 personal leave policy be placed on review, be taken off of review effective end of workday, February 23rd, and that the agenda for the next regular meeting will stipulate discussion, possible action to review policy Roman numeral 4-J-0. That is it has been seconded by Mr. Angel. Any more discussion on this? All in favor on the amendment, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. You know what to do. Okay?
Yep.
All right. That brings us to new business item 11F, discussion, possible action regarding selection of a new board vice president. We've had this on the agenda. This is made necessary by the fact that Vice President Jackie Farley was required to resign when she filed to run for another office. And a vice president, although not required statutorily, it's important because sometimes the president can't be here. And and we also have to have somebody to adjourn the meetings. So the board would entertain a motion by any member recommending a vice president for this board.
I'd like to make a motion recommending Mr. J. McBride as vice president.
I second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. McBride as the board vice president. Mr. McBride, are you okay staying in here, or do you want to leave the room when we it's necessary, but you can if you want. You're fine? Is there any discussion by anybody?
I just think Jay's been in the school system for many years. He told me at one point how many years he had been with the school system, and it was quite a few. I know Jay has been, was at one point, I believe you were president of the service personnel, and he's also very active in the community, different other organizations, so I think that he'll be good representing us as vice president.
Well, I would also add to that, Jay was a bus driver for how many years? 21 years as a bus driver. You were director of transportation how many years? For 11 years. He has more experience in the school system than I do, and a lot more than many of us. So, we have a motion on the floor, and we have a second to appoint Mr. McBride as vice president of the school board. And so, having said that, any other discussion? We have 3 members to vote. That represents a quorum on the vote. So, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. 3 votes in the affirmative. Congratulations, Vice President McBride. Okay, and don't forget, you have to adjourn this meeting, and everybody here is anxiously waiting for that, so let's go forward. We have personnel items, and according to Open Meetings Act, these personnel items, you all have the form in front of you. This has been properly posted on the agenda. This is a recommendation of the superintendent. You notice we have resignations and retirements. Also, we have employment professional. We have employment professional, extracurricular, extra duty. Employment service. Employment substitute service. Nice to see substitutes. Employment homebound teacher. Employment summer programs. I think that's all of it, is it not, Superintendent?
Yeah, and just real quick, I know we're getting close to the end of the meeting. It's nice that the central office staff, they've done a great job of getting ready for summer programs, and I'm just glad to see we have some really qualified people jumping in, because we have a lot planned for our students for this summer, and we're gonna do like we did last year with a STEM initiative and make school fun. But I have to admit, there's gonna be part of it for the high school. If they didn't get their credits, this is a chance to get them caught up. So you can see we're going through till July 22nd.
Very well.
I'd like to make a motion that we go into executive session according to code 6-9A-4, paragraph 2, personnel.
Have a motion on the floor to go into executive session. Is there a second? There's a second by Vice President McBride. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in affirmative. This board will now go into special executive session, and we will return shortly. The minutes may reflect we're going to executive session at 8:14 p.m. Please take your personnel with you. non-executive session on personnel. The chair calls this meeting back to order. We have before us on the agenda properly posted and advertised as per the Open Meetings Act. Personnel issues recommended by the superintendent. If we had one before, I don't remember. So if you made a motion to approve these, restate it. If it hasn't been, the floor is open for a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation on personnel items.
I move that we approve the superintendent's recommendations regarding personnel items.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Mrs. Farley, seconded by Mr. McBride, that this board approve the personnel issues or items presented to us by the superintendent. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. 4 votes in the affirmative. The superintendent's recommendations on personnel have been approved. Item 13, discussion of next agenda. Next meeting is the 24th. Does anyone have any requests for agenda items?
I'd like an update on the athletic building at the end of the football season, if we could.
Okay, if you would you just want that in our superintendent's report?
Yeah, if you could
Okay.
send the superintendent's report, I'd like to know where we're at with it.
Okay.
I believe we've paid the full amount, so I just wanna.
Yeah.
How about after that meeting, if we can keep it shorter?
Do a walkthrough?
Yeah.
I'd like to do that.
Okay, so you will have that under superintendent's report next meeting. Any other items for the agenda by any suggestions by any members or requests? There was one item, of course, will be on there previously noted regarding their personal leave policy. That'll be on the next agenda. Also at this time, I want to call a special meeting. I have some items for that meeting, and I want to find out if it's okay for Monday, February the 28th at 6 p.m., so if y'all can check your calendars. Monday, February 28th, 6 p.m. This would be a special meeting, and the items that I would like to discuss at that meeting: 1, the CARES Act or COVID money that is unencumbered. I would like to have a work session by the board in which we look at the total amount of money we have available to spend and look at what projects, building projects, renovation projects that money should go for. So in other words, I want a work session on unencumbered CARES Act money and potential projects that this board can look at and reach decisions on. And I would ask that report by the CSBO and the superintendent be able to answer questions on those, and we'll work that session out. Secondly, presentations on ELA and math at that special meeting, discussion of where we are, intervention actions that are being taken, and future plans on what we can do to improve student achievement in ELA and math, to evaluate what we've been doing, and to see what we might want to consider doing differently if there is something in that respect. Superintendent Worrell, that's the 2 things you and I discussed on there. Was there a third item?
Facilities.
Well, with the COVID money, I was looking at facilities projects we were going to do.
Okay.
But was there a third item? I don't know. Did we have a third issue we want to work on? No, it doesn't matter. We can, we'll create that on the agenda. I know what it was. On that 28th, the third item, I've asked the superintendent to have the two contractors who are bidding on the bus garage project to have those bids into us so that on Monday, February the 28th, we can accept or refuse to accept those bids so that we can get that project going. So there's three items. Is Monday, February 28th at 6 p.m., is that okay with you, Mr. Angel?
Yes, sir.
Mr. McBride? Mrs. Farley? Superintendent Ward? It's okay with me. Unfortunately, we can't talk to Mr. Brogan, but I'd have to feel like he would be here, or maybe he would join us by phone. And I think it's probably better to do this in the evening. Is that okay with you all, 6? Okay. All right, so Superintendent Warble, you can go ahead and begin work on a special call meeting by the chair. And you and I'll get together and we'll make sure the agenda items are stated out clearly. Okay. Vice President McBride, you're on. This meeting stands adjourned, finally.